Welcome to Navigating Advocacy, the true crime podcast that goes beyond storytelling to ignite change and seek justice. I'm Melissa.
And I'm Whitney. As true crime enthusiasts turned passionate advocates, we've seen the power of storytelling raise awareness about unsolved crimes and bring hope to victims and their families. We hope to inspire action and promote positive change within the true crime community.
Our mission is simple. We provide a platform for victims and their families to share their stories, to be heard, and find solidarity. But we don't stop there. We offer practical guidance to our listeners on how they can actively make a difference in their own communities.
In each episode, we'll discuss a different unsolved case. We'll examine the details, highlight potential leads, and strive to spark new interests that may help advance the investigation. Our goal is to reignite hope and ultimately bring justice where it's long overdue.
But this podcast is about more than just a conversation. It's about building a community of like-minded individuals who share a common purpose, making a real difference in the fight for justice. Whether you're a seasoned true crime fan or new to the genre, we invite you to join us on this journey of discovery and advocacy.
Together, we can create a wave of change. We're here to empower you to also become advocates for change, no matter where or who you are. We are Navigating Advocacy.
We discuss topics that may be sensitive to listeners. Discretion is advised.
This week, we are navigating advocacy in South Carolina. The town of Hopkins, South Carolina, is a census-designated place 11 miles southeast of Columbia. Named after famed physician John Hopkins, the town was officially founded in 1836.
Well, that's exciting.
Just 6 miles north of South Carolina's only national park, Congaree National Park, there are ample opportunities for outdoor activities. Hiking, kayaking, and water sports are the main attractions of the town of less than 2,000 people. It's the typical South Carolina look, the tall trees, but the swampy kind of waters, everything you can imagine from shows like Outer Banks or pictures you see, everything we saw with the Murdaugh trial, that's exactly what it looks like.
It's so beautiful. I love South Carolina.
The crime rate is surprisingly high for such a small town.
Oh, no.
According to Neighborhood Scout, Hopkins is safer than only 7% of U.S. neighborhoods. Your chance of becoming a victim of a violent crime is 1 in 114. Being such a small town, there were not many details reported back to break down the crime stats, though. So I couldn't really tell you murders versus rapes versus property crimes. They are all considered unreported through Neighborhood Scout.
Wow. I am shocked at that very small town of how much crime it has. That's insane. My parents live in a town of about 2,000 and there's not a lot of crime at all.
Because everybody knows everybody. How do you get away with it?
You cannot get away with anything there.
Being so close to Columbia, I wanted to share some stats on it as well. Columbia has a population of over 135,000 people and is safer than only 3% of U.S. neighborhoods. The chance of becoming a victim of a violent crime is 1 in 142.
Oh, wow.
So, safer than Hopkins?
I would say a smidge.
In 2004, when my case took place, the State Law Enforcement Division, or SLED, as everyone now knows, reported over 5,800 juvenile arrests.
Oh, wow. So they have a juvenile problem more than anything, and they can start to fix that, which would definitely help them as they grow into adulthood.
Carolina defines a juvenile as anyone aged 0 to 16 years old. There was a 12.9% increase in juvenile arrests for violent crimes from 2003 to 2004, including 11 juvenile arrests for murder. The juvenile arrest rate for rape increased 40.4% from 2003 to 2004. The rate for robbery increased 30.1%. Aggravated assault increased 8.8%. And over 650 runaways were reported in 2004 alone.
Wow. And this is not including 17 and 18-year-olds. This is 16 and under stats alone, because that's all they consider juveniles.
Correct.
Oh, man. Geez.
My story starts before 2004. Silene, Erica, Eaddy started her life in the foster care system with her two siblings. At age 3, foster parents Brenda McCoy and Frederick Eaddy take the 3 children into their home, where they would be adopted 2 years later. The family lived on the southeast side of Columbia, just off of Fountain Lake Road. Silene was a friendly girl that enjoyed music, writing, and cooking with her family. She was especially connected with her adopted father, and when Frederick died suddenly of a heart attack, Silene was greatly affected. As she entered her teenage years, she started questioning her past, seeking answers about her birth mother, and starting to act out and rebel. Silene was enrolled as a freshman at Dreyer High School, but her choices soon led her to being referred to Alston Wilkes Youth Services School for at-risk youth. One article said that she was referred to this new high school for cursing at another girl, but I really feel that if it was just cussing, there has to be more to that story for them to be removed and put into an alternate program.
Agree, because I see kids cussing at teachers and they get detention. So
This was 2004, so things were handled a little differently back when we were in high school.
that's true. Very true.
She seems to be thriving in her new high school, though. She participated in the junior ROTC program, dance, and continued her love of art. Silene had dreams of becoming a singer or a writer. Silene, or Erica as many friends called her, started hanging out with a rough crowd. She had a ton of confidence, always dressed well, held her head high, and definitely had her hair done. She would sneak out and hitch rides with strangers, including much older men. Brenda was struggling with how to parent Silene and spoke to her neighbor Veronica about it. The friend suggested that maybe the next time she sneaks out, that Brenda should contact law enforcement and list her as a runaway, hoping to scare Silene a little bit about the legal ramifications of running away and what it can truly mean. She contacted the police after she had dropped Silene off at a shoe store to do some shopping, and when she had returned, Silene was nowhere to be found. Brenda went down to the Columbia police station to file a missing persons report. A few hours passed, and Silene returned home on her own accord, and then the report was closed. Just 2 weeks later, on April 15th, 2004, between 7 and 7:30 p.m., Veronica was outside her home tending to her grill for a barbecue when she saw Silene once again sneaking out. Veronica yelled across the street in an attempt to catch Silene and hoped that she would turn around and go back inside, but Silene disregarded the warning from her neighbor and headed out on foot. Veronica went inside, got a hold of Brenda to tell her that she'd just witnessed Silene sneaking out, and Brenda set out on foot after her, but was too far behind to catch her. Exhausted and at a loss, Brenda returned home and said the same prayer she had said many times before when Silene took off, just praying Silene would make it home safely as she had so many times before. There was also hope that perhaps Silene was just wandering around the neighborhood, chatting with different neighbors. She was friendly and often spoke with acquaintances around the block, and she had even mentioned that that's where she was headed, was to a neighbor nearby. Just around the corner, she said. She was going just around the corner. This time it was different. Silene didn't come home. And after 2 days, Brenda called the police and once again reported her missing.
And I'm sure because they had that other report, they did not take this report very seriously. And I couldn't imagine, Brenda. I have 2 teenagers, and I could not fathom if they ran away once, or let alone it habitual. It's absolutely terrifying not knowing where your children are at. With extra time in the summer, we love to spend our time outdoors. With my oldest son being in competitive sports, he spends many hours conditioning for fall. This is where our electric e bike comes in handy. Lord knows I'm not a runner, so having the electric cargo expedition to ride alongside him during his runs is a great way to show support. I love how easy and comfortable it is to ride. The ability to customize your e bike with a cargo net, baskets, or even an extra seat allows me to carry his gear and water with ease.
Oh, I love that I can also get my workout in or choose to use one of the 5 levels of pedal assist to power my ride, especially on these steep hills around Austin. I will say my balance isn't what it used to be, so knowing that electric e bikes offers a trike option is amazing. Rediscover your independence this summer with an XP 3.0 from Lectric. Visit lectricebikes.com to learn more.